welcome to the atomic multiverse. These are the brains of the multiverse, also known as the bulk in cosmological terms. These are the positions that we might occupy within that bulk framework. We'll talk about the slices of toast element a little later on. This is the atom, and that's the nucleus with the proton and the neutron there in the middle, made of quarks, remember, and gluons. Don't forget the gluons. And these are the electrons. And here is the ubiquitous photon coming in, doing its stuff, zipping out again, however that actually happens. And these are the various frequencies of the electron in its oscillation process. Hopefully today I can invite you to go into some deep thinking in terms of our own existence and the existence of everything else that's around us. The relationship between the electron and the photon runs deep. Not only do we have this entangled relationship between the electron and the photon happening on a permanent basis, but we also have a kind of a cross-reference of reference. We refer to the electromagnetic spectrum, and the electromagnetic spectrum refers to a spectrum occupied by photons. Electricity, the electronics. This relates to the electron and the electron's mode of behavior, creating what we know to be electricity, for example. But at the end of the day, this relationship between the electron and the photon seems to be so closely entwined that it's kind of almost difficult to separate. Because as we move beyond the parameters of old physics and into new physics, and the ways of thinking that are going to permeate through these questions and these mysteries and get beyond them, it's going to require a completely different viewpoint on how these particles interact, how they relate, how they behave. And perhaps the multiverse will hold some clues as to those behaviors, their strangeness, their incomprehensibility. This relates directly to us, and there is no escaping that, which is why there is no escaping the interest in quantum mechanics and the whole bedrock of investigation that is very likely to arise from that. One thing we do know is that the multiverse probably exists in some form or another. Given that the oscillation speed is faster the further away from the nucleus the electron is residing, within the shell valence, whatever that may look like, it would appear that the energy of the electron and the energy quotient of the photon are somehow linked. But as with many other quandaries really in quantum mechanics, we've got to ask ourselves where these energies originate. Just while we're at it, talking about the photon coming in and being absorbed by the electron and then subsequently emitted by the electron again, as far as our language can define it, I want to ask a question here, because if the photon as an elementary particle is absorbed or taken in some way by the electron, and is said, for argument's sake, to disappear because it's just giving up its energy to the electron, which then absorbs it, jumps up a level. The electron then emits a photon when it jumps down a level. So should we not be asking ourselves, well, where does that photon appear from? Now you could argue that the electron is just emitting a little packet of energy and that becomes a photon. If a photon can so magically appear, disappear, be absorbed, be emitted, then if this can so readily happen in our everyday surroundings, then what can be said of the speed of light, the speed of a particle that essentially isn't really a particle at all. Most of the time, it's just an energy probability, a quotient package that's waiting to materialize in some material way. The speed of energy? Come on. Yeah, I'm looking at concepts that, for many among the initiated, do not have any correlation whatsoever. There is no correspondence between them, because it has been a feature, as far as I can understand, of quantum mechanical investigation to assume that the quantum mechanics is out there and we are observing it. Dark matter is out there. We're detecting it. There's a separation between our units, our physical, psychological units as human beings, and what is happening out there in the universe that we observe. I feel that's a very hefty mistake, and I think a lot of physicists feel the same way. Here we have the atom, the humble construct of what we are, at work in our physical makeup and the physical makeup of everything that's around us. But this humble atom is doing some quite remarkable things, and those remarkable things cannot readily be explained by the principles of classical physics. Where is the bridge? Are we standing on it? Are we crossing it? What are we doing? Where do we sit? What is our position across the multiverse right now? So that's it, folks. I'm going to wrap up with you here today. Just give you a reminder of what was originally on the board before it all disappeared into another dimension and another version of itself. You know where to find me. Lots of love. See you later. Bye.